All right, so I have to tell y'all that I've got some bad news for some of y'all and good news for some of y'all, maybe. The news is I believe that Alan Weisselberg, who is was the CFO of the Trump organization, is cooperating with Cy Vance, New York District Attorney, and Letitia James, the state attorney for the state of New York. I believe that he is cooperating. Going a couple of weeks ago to a hearing where he was charged with 15 counts of tax fraud, etc. But the bad news for some of y'all is that I think he's cooperating. And I think what he'd call is flipped. Now, he's known as a CFO in business commercial terms. That means he is the chief financial officer. And he's been with Trump for 40 years. He actually started with Trump's father, Fred Trump. But I think he has decided to go ahead and, tell everything. And let me tell you why I believe he's flipped. Number one, I don't think that Cy Vance would have charged him if he thought he wasn't going to flip. A lot of people say, well, they charged him, try to influence him to flip. No. I believe he's already flipped. And that's why they charged him, because they have to charge him with something to let him go free from, right? But I think he's boy going to tell everything he know on Donald Tribulation Trump. I think he's going to tell everything he know. In fact, I'm not really a betting man, but I bet you he's flipped. I guarantee he has. We need some guarantees. And one of the things that makes me confident of this was when I saw him do that perk walk. I said, he's already decided to going to tell everything on Trump. But reports have come out a week or so later that that Alan Weisselberg has been removed from all of the position. Now, Trump has several small corporations, Trump this, Trump that, Trump Golf Course, Doral Golf Course, Mar-a-Lago. All of those are separate small businesses. And Alan Weisselberg was the chief financial officer for all of them. He has been removed completely. In other words, he's been fired by Trump. Trump has fired him. You are fired, Alan Weisselberg. That's fact. That's stated fact that Trump has fired Weisselberg. Well, if Weisselberg was defending Trump, why fire him, right? Come on. You can put two to two together, right? You don't even need any bubble gum to make it stick together. You can put this two and two together. That boy is talking. No, he is. And Trump knows it. Fired him. Which I thought probably, was the wrong thing to do. But you fire him. He already knows what to tell but Trump fired him. And then the thing that I thought also was a kicker to this was that the reports is that Weisselberg is paying his own lawyers, that the lawyers that are representing Weisselberg, they're in no way associated or ever have been associated with the Trump organization. They are separate lawyers that Weisselberg has hired to represent him. They're not being paid by Trump. So that lets you know something as well. I think that he's going, whatever there is to tell, he's going to tell it. But what does that mean? It means potentially that Cy Vance thinks he can indict Trump. There were 10 charges leveled up against the Trump organization. Now, you can indict an organization, but you can't put handcuffs on them. And Trump can always say, well, I know anything about this. I know he was doing this and that and the other. How do I know what he was doing? And can slip. But Weisselberg may have the goods to say, no, we discussed this. Here are the notes. Here's the okay. Here are the signed checks. Here's the acknowledgement that Trump knew we were defrauding the government or defrauding whoever. And so I think it's just a matter now of time before you start seeing more indictments fall. I would think that the fact that we haven't seen any indictments fall on Don Jr. as of yet is that he's talking too. I think Don Jr. is talking, and Ivanka may be talking. If you've never faced a district attorney who tells you you're facing 10 to 15 years in jail. If you never had anybody say that to you and then put handcuffs on you, it's not a good feeling. Somebody say, but you can avoid that. You can avoid going to jail if you would just tell us these facts. And the other thing that Trump has going against him is that everybody knows that Trump has never bitten the bullet for anybody. Trump has never taken a bullet for nobody. And he never will. So these people are not necessarily, going to go to jail for Trump. I don't think Don Jr. will go to jail for his father. I don't think so. And so, but we'll see. But I can tell you this, Weisselberg is talking. Now that boy, he telling everything he know. That perk walk was not for Weisselberg. That perk walk was for Trump. You know how Trump loves to watch television? That boy loved to watch the news. And I don't think Fox News even put it on. I don't think Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham, it was like for 3 days, they were just all over everywhere, all over CNN. You couldn't turn on CNN without seeing ATLAH Weisselberg in them handcuffs. But I don't think he showed up on Fox one time. That's how partisan this thing is. You think that the media can get this doggone partisan that something as critical as that, and Fox News won't even put it on, won't let you see it. They think if you don't see it, it doesn't exist. That's an insult to the people who watch Fox News, that because it's on Fox News, that you didn't see it, it doesn't exist. That's an insult. But anyway, no, but that perk walk wasn't for ATLAH Weisselberg. That perk walk was for Trump. As famous as Trump coming down that escalator back then, June of 2015? When Trump came down that escalator, and that has been the do, I think South Vance think he can perk walk. He gonna put handcuffs on Trump. Now, if he does, they're gonna be all hell gonna break loose. But I think South Vance will put handcuffs on Trump. I think South Vance will put handcuffs on that boy and perk walk him. I think he'll do that. Unless Trump cuts a deal and says, listen, I don't want you to do that to me, or do a Richard Nixon, and one of them jobs, Otherwise, when that perk walk took place, I think Trump was watching it, and I got to tell you, that was probably the most chilling thing that he has ever seen in his life. Because, Alan Weisselberg worked for Fred Trump, his father. He'd been with 40 years. For 40 yeds. That's like somebody handcuffing Elder Hartfield here at the church and walking him out the church on the Saturday morning. And all the cameras out there watching Elder Hartfield walk down the steps with handcuffs. If Elder Hartfield don't tell everything he knows on Pastor Manning, that's what that was like. Boy, I tell you, woo! And that's what that was. That perk walk was not for Alan Weisselberg. Alan Weisselberg is already talking. That boy's already talking. But that was for Trump. And not just for Trump, but for the Trump supporters as well. Rudy Giuliani. They tell me that Giuliani is a stomped down drunk. He's a stumble bum drunk. He probably drunk right now, Giuliani. He probably drunken on a couple of skunks, Giuliani. He ain't got no money. Trump ain't got no money either. Y'all should have heard Esther Butler tell you that. Trump broke. Giuliani broke. Ain't nobody got no money. Everybody's grifting and grafting, trying to get money for where they can get money from. But they're going to perk walk Giuliani. They're going to put him in handcuffs. They're going to put that boy in handcuffs too. This stuff going to get ugly. But the other thing, it's not going to be pretty for America when all this takes place. It's going to take place, but this isn't going to be a good thing when it does happen. It's just not going to. But it's inevitable. It's a part of the process. It's a part of where we are. It's what we are. We're in the tribulation, and we'll have more to say about that in time to come. I want to ask you to come up close for just 1 second. And I want to talk to 3-year and older veterans of the Trust in the Lord Hour, the Open Rewards Prayer Meeting, the Manna Report, and the Pulpit of Power, those 4 ministries that we do every week, producing at least 20 different ministries or sermons every week. If you are a 3-year or older veteran, by old I mean 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 12 years, older veteran of any of these ministries that we do on a daily basis every week, and you are not a supporter, you've not joined with the ministry to give to pledge your support and your alignment with what we've been teaching. My question is why? You've had 3 years to observe us. You've had 3 years to listen to us on a daily basis, all weekend, all day long, any hour of the day. We're broadcasting. You've had 3 years to watch our various successes. You've 3 years to watch our ups and downs. You've had 3 years to listen to the tenor or the consistency of what we have said, whether we are consistent or whether we're all over the chart in what we do and what we believe. You've had 3 years to watch people around us who have made the commitment to join with our ministry in church and to financially support it. And by the way, I want to give another shout out to Brother Jesse Munoz out there in San Bernardino, along with Goldfinger, who is just extraordinary giver, and others that do extraordinary giving to our ministry. My question is to you, if you are a 3-year veteran or older, why haven't you joined? Why haven't you committed? And I suppose some of the reasons would say, well, Pastor, man, I belong to another church. And why? How could you, after 3 years of hearing me teach about the Sabbath, about righteousness, about the tribulation, and listen to me faithfully as you do, and still go sit up in another pastor's face? How could you be? It's like a woman sleeping with 2 men. You know, one she likes during the week and the other she likes on the weekend. It's hypocritical. How could you do that? I mean, say you started 3 months ago, I can understand. Well, it may take you some time to evaluate, it may take you some time to look at me, to discover, who I am. You say, well, Pastor, that's not that I don't belong to another church or ministry. I'm with you. But there's some things you say I like, and there's some things you say I don't like. Why? Why is it that you've made a decision that there's some things that you don't like are stronger than the things that you do like? I am not a psychiatrist, but I am an analyst. And I have to tell you, I analyze the world, understanding. The understanding and wisdom tells me this, that if there are things that a person such as myself that I am saying, there is no room to disagree with what I am saying unless your purpose is to find something to disagree with. Let's say, for instance, you say, well, I like the fact that you talk about Obama, but I don't like the fact that you talk about Trump. Let's say, for instance, you're one of those, right? Well, the purpose, it isn't that you just like what I say about Obama, but don't like what I say about Trump. What it is that you are looking for a reason to support Trump. It isn't that you don't like it. It's just that you don't like the fact that I'm saying something about him. It isn't that what I'm saying is wrong. Let me put it that way. It isn't what I'm saying is wrong or indifferent. You know it's right. But you've lived your life, or you've come up, or you've been raised with a doctrine that you can really live in a false reality. That's where you are. You've been raised in a doctrine that you can live in a false reality. That is to say, you can like the truth about Obama, but you don't like the truth about Trump. And it's the same truth. It's the same truth. There's no difference. But because you have been indoctrinated to live in a false reality, you are really a person who needs psychological debriefing. But trust me, there are zillions of people around the world who live that way. There are people who know what I'm saying about Trump or Obama is right. They know it. But they choose to ignore it based on the fact that they find a reality that isn't true, and they've settled in there. Say, well, that's one of the reasons why I've not made a commitment, because, I don't like the fact, I wish you would support what I support. But the truth of the matter is, then why do you come? You've given 3 years or more of your life to listen to me? 3 years of your life to listen to me? And you're not tired of listening to me yet? And you've given 3 years of your life, and over the past 3 years, your life has been greatly upgraded. You've learned, you've been educated, you've been enlightened. And let me say this to you. If you make the commitment, say, well, Pastor, I'm joining with you and I'm going to support, I'm going to do the tithe and offering, I'm going to do the first fruit, I'm going to keep the Sabbath, your life is going to soar. Now listen to me very carefully. Now I'm not going to leave you alone after this. Listen to me very carefully. You come as often as you come over the past 3 years because you're being helped. You're being educated. You're being enlightened, right? Right. But the thing that you like, whether you say, well, I like what you say about Obama, but I don't like what you say about Trump. You do the same thing with the Word of God, such as you like the things I say, the teachings that I say, the way I explain the Bible, the way I break it all down and make it clear. But when it comes to things like money or tithing and offering or the Sabbath, well, that is also true, but because of your false reality, because you really need a psychological debriefing, because of your false reality, you choose not to believe the tithe or the first fruit or the Sabbath. Now, it isn't that it isn't true. It's as true with all the other things I've said. But you live in a false reality where you try to ignore the truth about the tithe, and so you don't do it. But everything else I say is good to go. Everything I ever say is good to go, good enough to share with your friends. It makes you laugh. It educates you. It enlightens you. But the tithe, well, and the full commitment to the ministry, well, the first fruit offerings, well, the Sabbath, that's all true as well. But you have chosen and you've been raised and indoctrinated to have a dual reality, which is dangerous. Jesus said this, and I'll leave you. He said, I would rather you be either hot or cold, but not lukewarm. You're lukewarm. You have a dual reality. He said, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. I would rather you be completely stomped down against Pastor Manny, trying to take him down. Be fully against him. Be against him with all of your strength. Or be fully for him with all of your strength. But don't be in the middle, somewhere lukewarm. You're better than to be spit out of the mouth of Jesus if you're lukewarm. So what's it going to be? You're going to make the commitment and grow and be even better blessed, or you're going to continue to walk in the lukewarm spit of the mouth of the Savior. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.